So that's how I set up my bitzenburger jig to make sure you're getting the front of your arrows touching and the rear of your vanes touching. So you don't want that lip. As soon as you get that lip poking up, your vanes are going to get ripped off in the wind. Alrighty guys, so today what I'm going to do is show you how I set up my bitzenburger jig to make sure you get a perfectly good vane contact and you don't have your edges sticking up. Because I don't know about you, but I've had a few problems where I get the front of me vein sticking up and the back of me vein sticking up and not touching down. I'll show you why that happens and what goes wrong. So what we're going to do today is refletch this arrow 3 different ways. 2 wrong ways and 1 right way, and we'll show you the difference. Get rid of this glue, even though it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to be shooting this one. See, it's going to be all dodged up, but let's get rid of it. Okay, so I'm not really worried about the glue sticking down or having really good preparation, because I'm just demonstrating on how to get the bitzenburger set up. So this isn't how to fletch your arrows, this is how to set up your bitzenburger. You dig? Okay. So what you got to do, it's all to do with your angles of your dialing thing. So how big your offset is makes how good your vane contact is. So let's get an arrow. It's maybe an ice vane might be a good example for this one. I think so. The ice vane should give us a good example of what goes wrong and what goes right. So let's just have a look here. Chuck the ice vane in the jig. Let's get the arrow in the machine. Let's have a look. Ice vanes, they stick down pretty good. There's a major offset on that. Okay, so ice vane's not going to be a good example. Let's just use a flex fletch 1/8/7. This will give us a great example. Okay, so first thing, what I'm going to do first is fletch up an arrow the wrong way and show you what happens when you go wrong, and then we'll work out why it went wrong and what the problem was. So let's get this out, readjust this, and get it all set up wrong. Maybe I'll bring this down and show you what's going on. Beautiful. So now we've got the dial-o-matic loose, we can change the offset on there. So let's try and zoom in for you. Okay, so now we're zoomed in. We can see here that if I twist these, it changes your angle up and down, and there's a little mark here too. Will it focus in for us? Probably not. But there's a mark here that tells you how offset your offset is, okay? So let's get a bad offset. Let's do a bad one. And I'll show you what it looks like to have a bad offset. Perfect, so this is super extreme offset. So this will show you what happens when you go wrong. Okay. So if you can see, the very front of the vane is lifted up. that a good angle? Try and get it focused in for you. There we go. So you can see the very tip of that vein here is just curling up, and it's not touching down on the arrow. So as soon as a bit of wind hits that, it's just going to rip the whole vein off. And same with the back, isn't sticking down very good too, but that's a hectic amount of helical. So that's the first mistake, okay, over offsetting. So now we've got the bad one done. Let's do the straight helical. So now I've got the helical jig in. I've got the helical jig because you can get a helical jig or a straight jig. I've got both. Greg has both. Okay, so now if you line them up exactly with the line, you can get it dead in the center of the arrow. So now I'm just lining up the lines. There we go, that one's lined up. So now we can see both ends are stuck down. It's dead straight, but there is a little bit of a wobble in the vein. I don't know if you can pick it up very good or not. But when you run a helical with no offset, you get the ends to stick down. So we've got the front end and the back end to stick down, but the vein's now got a wobble in it. So it's kind of a bit wobbly. So they're the two bad ways that you can fletch a helical jig. Let's do it the right way now and set it up properly and show you how I set it up. All right, we're back. So hopefully this will be the best angle for you to see exactly what I'm doing. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed I get a good angle for you. So that's going to be the hardest bit, to explain this, how I do this. Okay, I'm just going to have to hold it for you while I set it up. Okay, so don't put any glue on your vein. Set it in your jig. Okay, I'll set it in there. Loosen off your dial-o-matic so you can adjust your offsets. And what I like to do is just play with the offset until I can see. Can we see on the back there? It's a bit hard to see. Maybe if I try and get the focus in. God, I'm not making it easy. So I like to just look down the edge of the arrow and I can see exactly when that back half of the vein is going to touch that arrow. It's touching the arrow the best. So I push it down. If I bring it, look, can we see that? Now if it's out too far wide now, it's lifting the tail up just here. So I'm looking in here and it's going, oh, the tail's up a bit, so I'll bring it back a little bit and I go, oh, perfect, that's it, that's the spot. So then I'll cinch that up. Okay, so now the back is touching perfect. Now we can adjust the front one. And what I do, I take it over. So now it's hanging off the back side. If you kind of look down in here, this is the bit, this is how I set it up anyway. So I look down in here, I can see the front is off. So and the back's touching perfect now, but the front's off. So now I just need to adjust this a little bit, and I bring it back so I can get the most amount of helical I can get without it lifting up. So I'll just go all the way out so it's lifting up, and I just bring it back until they'll both sit down perfect. And there it is there. We're both getting good contact now. Perfect. So now I can cinch this one up. Make sure it didn't move. No, we're still in there. Okay, we're both still touching. Give them a final cinching. The final cinching. So now I know I'm getting good. Oh, that final cinching just stuffed it up a bit, I think. Yep, the final cinching over tightened it. So I'll loosen it back off. This one's got a bit stiff. So loosen back off and readjust, make sure we get it perfect. There we go, that's the spot. So now let's tighten it back up. Too much, just a little fraction. So this is the hardest bit, is getting it set up, but once it's set up, we're laughing. Okay, so now I have the front touching, back touching. We're good to go. That's the dial-matic set up. So now I can focus. I can put some glue on it. I normally just put 3 or 4 dots and then run it down, but we're just in a rush trying to get things showing you. Now we can stick those down. We got the front touching, we got the back touching. Let's leave that for a second and then I'll show you the difference between all three. So that's how I set up my bitzenburger jig to make sure you're getting the front of your arrows touching and the rear of your veins touching. So you don't want that lip. As soon as you get that lip poking up, your veins are going to get ripped off in the wind. Alrighty guys, so the veins set now. Put a bit too much glue on there, it's all run everywhere, but it's done its job. And now we have an offset that's fully touched down. So let's show you at home. So here you can see that the first one we done, that front lip's lifting up. See just here, it's lifting up off the edge. So as soon as a bit of wind gets underneath here, it's going to rip that vein off straight away. Comes straight off there. There you go, there's a better way to see it. That front lip's lifted off. Now on this one, which one's my straight one? So on this one you can see it's both ends, it's touching down perfect, but it's a straight, we haven't got any helical. And the vein's got a bit of a wobble in it because we used a helical clamp. Now, if we go to this one, you can see both ends are touching down. Both ends are touching down perfect, and we've got an offset. So now that is a true helical. Now we'll get some we'll get a bit of movement off that. Start to steer it. Alrighty guys, so I hope you liked that one. A quick little video on how I set up my bitzenburger to make sure that the front and the back of the vein touch down all the time. Alright guys, so make sure you do us the favour and hit that like button for me, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons guys, share me out, get us out there, let's get archery out there a bit. And I'll see you in the next one.